What if Luffy ate the Goro Goro no Mi? How would this crazy change impact the story? Well, I think I came pretty close to what would actually happen. So, obviously, the first change is Luffy doesn't eat the Gomu Gomu no Mi, aka the Hito Hito no Mi. Instead, let's say Shanks stole the Goro Goro no Mi and Luffy eats it because of course he does. Come on now, it's Luffy. After this, he would walk away, and when Shanks grabs Luffy, he turns into lightning, shocking Shanks and the crew. See what I did there? No, for real though. After this, Luffy has an encounter with a man who disrespected Shanks, and let's just say that there is no way he's gonna hurt Luffy. He doesn't even have haki, so Luffy beats him and his crew up as a 7-year-old. After this, Shanks smiles and goes on to give Luffy his hat, seeing something truly special about Luffy. As from here, we get a small, almost insignificant, very tiny 10-year time skip to when he starts his adventure, and just like in canon, we would end up on Alvida's ship where Luffy obliterates her. And just like in canon, he would take Kobe to the marine base on Shell Island, where Luffy recruits Zoro just like he would in the original. And can I just say, these next couple arcs are child's play. Seriously, Axe Hand Morgan, yeah, he gets spanked like a misbehaved kid by this Luffy. And so does Buggy, Captain Kuro, Don Krieg, and even Arlong. They are nothing to this Luffy. And Smoker, well, he would be the only tricky one to face, considering they're both Logia Devil Fruit users. But my thing with this is, they can't really hit each other. But Luffy is faster than Smoker, so regardless, I think Luffy and the crew could escape. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Personally, I definitely say Luffy would win mid-difficulty, but that's just my opinion, so who cares? Moving on. After this, we blitz past the next 4 arcs, considering nothing really happens that warrants worry or even an interesting story. But once we get to the Alabasta arc, things get a lot more interesting. Is what I would say if Luffy wasn't the ultimate counter to Crocodile. Considering the second that Luffy's lightning touches him, he might as well turn to a statue of glass, considering there is nothing that Crocodile is going to be able to do. I see absolutely no reason to why this arc would even be a bit hard. One thing I do want to throw in is that I want Mr. 2 to join the crew. I mean, come on now, I love the guy. Vivi, yeah, she can stay behind in Alabasta. I'm not losing any sleep over her. But as for Mr. 2, he needs to join this crew, and he needs to join this crew right now. After the Alabasta arc finishes, we jump into the Chaya arc, and obviously this is where Blackbeard runs into Luffy. But just like in the original, I don't see anything changing, whether it be Bellamy to Blackbeard's speech about a dream. Because if there was a fight in canon, that would be awesome, and even here it would be awesome, but sadly, there's really no signs to point or to indicate that there would even be a fight at all, so for those reasons, I'm out. Let me know if you guys got that reference down below. But anyways, this leads to the Skypiea arc, and one major change is that Enel doesn't quite have the Goro Goro no Mi, so generally speaking, I don't even think Enel would even be a problem. This is more of a sightseeing arc if anything, with a couple battles here and there, but after, we have a major change to the story. Luffy versus Aokiji. And this battle would actually be incredible. Aokiji would try to freeze Luffy, but Luffy's body turns into lightning and just walks it off, shooting a massive lightning attack that pierces Aokiji's body, and Luffy would think that the battle's over, but since Luffy didn't use any haki in that attack, he didn't actually hurt Aokiji, seeing as he's also a Logia Fruit user, and so he would do no damage to him. But Aokiji, he does have access to haki, and he would end up getting stomped by Aokiji, as this would be a major wake-up call to Luffy and the crew, as they would realize that they need to learn haki fast, because Aokiji would mention that while Luffy has an incredible devil fruit, he still doesn't have access to haki, and he can't touch him without it, as he froze him and just left him for practically dead, leaving Nico Robin behind just like he would in the original. But now after this experience, the Straw Hats would now actively try to seek somebody out to teach them haki. But for now, let's focus on the Water 7 arc, which has some major changes in the form of the Enies Lobby arc. Because again, Luffy is just too strong. The only people who can pose a threat to this Luffy are those with Haki, or if someone had the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which nobody has. So yeah, CP9 is fodder, and we simply get the scene in which Garp comes in to visit Luffy, as well as the introduction to the Sunny. Once that ends up happening, they end up reaching the Thriller Bark arc, and here's where things actually get interesting. And no, it's not because of Gecko Moria, since he gets quite easily stomped by a full power lightning kick, but because of the Warlord Kuma who arrives. This kind of messes everything up, because this time around, Luffy is wide awake to see Kuma arrive and try to handle it, but Kuma's Devil Fruit can reflect attacks, meaning Luffy's Devil Fruit ability, which he's unable to stop. So one by one, every single one of the Straw Hats are sent to different islands, just like in canon, but even earlier on than before. So Luffy spends more time on Amazon Lily with Boa, which actually turns out to be a great thing, because that means he has just enough time to learn the basics of armament Haki from her and use Haki during the Impel Down arc, which would be a major game changer, considering he would be able to use that to defeat Magellan in the Impel Down prison escape arc, in which using his lightning Haki attacks, he's able to defeat him and take him out in a high difficulty battle, which would be insane. Because as we know, in the original, Luffy couldn't even touch Magellan, but now equipped with a long and close range Devil Fruit, Luffy is able to take advantage of this and shoot Lightning Dragon, Lightning Fists, and 20 million volt attacks at Magellan, which would fry him, leading to Luffy finding Ace in his cell and freeing him along with Jinbei. Upon exiting Impel Down with Jinbei and Ace, he's able to leave with no troubles and successfully saves Ace, stopping the Marineford arc. Because keep in mind, Blackbeard still doesn't go to Impel Down, so even though a Luffy and Ace versus Blackbeard fight would be awesome, here it just can't happen, eventually leading to the time skip in which the crew learns Haki and reunites in Sabaody with zero issues. If anything, Kuma would have prevented a lot, considering now Blackbeard only has the Darkness Fruit, Ace is still alive, and Whitebeard is able to pursue his goal of making Ace the king of the pirates. And yes, this does mean Sabo never gets the Flame Fruit, but hey, at least we get to keep Ace. But with all these changes, now we jump into the next couple of arcs, and newsflash people, they're too easy. I mean, come on, what's Hody Jones gonna do? Or even Caesar the Clown? They're a joke to Luffy, literally. And so is even Doflamingo, who cannot in any universe light a candle to this Luffy, who now has access to Conqueror's Haki as well as the Goro Goro no Mi, making him a powerhouse. Seriously, and Nell in canon was legit him. I can't even imagine many people in the verse capable of even beating him. But now we give that to Luffy, who trains even harder, comes up with goofier attacks, and is super unpredictable. Plus he has his crew by his side. It's a matchup nightmare for anyone. I'm so serious too. I genuinely think this Luffy could match up to even someone like Big Mom, Kaido, and even Shanks. Easily Doflamingo. Because come on, let's be honest, Doflamingo is small fry now. And because of this means that the crew didn't even have to separate. Therefore, there is no Whole Cake Island arc. Forget about it. Sanji knows way better than to abandon the crew knowing how overpowered Luffy is, so they don't even have to go chasing after him. Instead, they would end up opting to just go straight to the Yonko that Luffy and Law want to take out, Kaido. And I'm not gonna lie, this battle is legendary. It's a light show. We're talking Luffy transforms into a lightning entity and just straight up beats down on Kaido using a lightning avatar to throw Haki infused lightning bolts on Kaido and take him out. It would be a grand battle. But after this, Green Bull arrives and gets chased off by Shanks like in the original. And with Blackbeard without the Gura Gura no Mi, the race for the One Piece would actually be Shanks, Ace, Luffy, and Blackbeard. And I'd love to imagine it'd be a four-way battle, but unluckily for Blackbeard, every one of them doesn't like him at all. So you know what they do? They should have tag teamed this man, and with a fire, lightning, Haki slash, they they eliminate him to say the least. Then they would turn to each other and go all out in a battle royale of crews going at it, but the one who would stand on top would be Luffy. I mean, his element is not only cooler than Ace, but faster as well. And Shanks, well, Luffy is definitely in that tier of power, so once Ace falls, I definitely see Shanks and Luffy clashing and going at it, with Shanks giving Luffy his props for how far he's come, and Luffy, in Luffy-like fashion, laughing and fighting Shanks in an all-out battle, which would be incredible. Luffy would throw multiple lightning attacks. Shanks using his haki would end up preventing Luffy from using his observation haki. Luffy would use the craziest powers, and just like he would in his battle against Enel, would literally turn off his brain and begin to just throw the craziest attacks towards the direction of Shanks, shocking him. But eventually, Luffy would show off something that he hasn't had to show off in this entire series, his Devil Fruit Awakening, which he would whip out of nowhere and completely shock Shanks, leading to Luffy absolutely obliterating him, and eventually Shanks would be forced to admit defeat to Luffy. And with that, Luffy and his crew would end up finding the One Piece, making Luffy the king of the pirates. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a wrap for What If Luffy ate the Goro Goro no Mi. I hope you guys enjoyed this video a ton because it took me quite a while to get to work on it, and it was one of my first One Piece what ifs that I actually genuinely put a lot of work on. Let me know down below in the comments anything you guys want to touch up on, any questions, any suggestions for my future what ifs, any ways that I could make these videos better for you guys for my next one. But as for this video, I think we both learned a very important lesson together. Sometimes making Luffy have an OP devil fruit doesn't always benefit the story, because let's be honest, most of the characters from the beginning arcs of One Piece are way too weak for Luffy to have a powerful devil fruit, and then once we get to the latter arcs, it's either a combination of Luffy's too strong at that point or Luffy's too weak and straight up dies, which is kind of interesting how the One Piece story works, but it's something that we both kind of learned together, and it was kind of fun. Honestly, I genuinely loved making this video, and I had a ton of fun. So let me know what other One Piece what ifs you guys would like to see down below in the comments. But that has been it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.